sure what to expect with this game. I received a random email in my inbox from a Gmail address. It seemed a little bit suspicious at first, and me being the Emperor, I had to be overly cautious. There's always assassins about. And especially cautious because, well, if you didn't know, I have been hacked on YouTube before and lost my channel. But it's back because you're watching this video. After quadruple checking everything on their email, it was legit. There was a Steam code in the email. I entered it on the Steam store and it worked. I officially arrived to mandate order to the plebs of China. So, my lords, what is Mandate Order? Mandate Order is an ancient Chinese war city building simulation set during the spring and autumn and warring states period, which is roughly 770 BC to 481 BC. You begin with a frontier settlement with nothing, and have to build, fight, and manage your way to become a thriving city-state. It's part Manalords, part Total War, and part Anno. It's got logistics, politics, massive RTS Total War-like battles, and probably some of the best graphics in the genre. After playing about 12 hours, my lords, here's what surprised me. Loading up for the first time was a real shock. The graphics, guys, the graphics are very, very impressive. It's one of the best looking games I have ever played. They're going for a realistic look with their art style, and I think they've done a great job. Everything has detail. The grass, the trees, buildings, your citizens, the people in your own town are actually doing things on the map. One person will gather resources, another will gather berries, someone will mine, and if you zoom in on them, they can actually see them doing the tasks. I thought that was pretty cool. Good attention to detail. The atmosphere of the game is very immersive. It really feels like you're in ancient China. The music adds to this tremendously. Mandate Order has one of the most beautiful soundtracks I've ever heard. They cooked with it, to be honest. I mean, just listen to this. Mandate Order ran perfectly on my PC. I didn't have any performance issues and I didn't crash once in my 12 hours of playtime. The developer really knows what they're doing here and it shows with their performance and graphical detail. The game looks next-gen. Does it feel next-gen? As far as the city builder goes, you've got the holy grail of a series, Anno, to compare it to. You can also look at Manalords, which to be honest, I've never actually played. I have played Anno 117 though. I'd say Mandate Order feels less gridlocked like Anno 117 felt. I really enjoyed being able to freely place my buildings. Like you could have curving roads, and I could design my city how I wanted to design it. You're not only building your city though, you need the resources to do it. The production change and Mandate Order have quite a bit of depth. Everything is fairly well explained and it all makes sense. A big problem that I ran into though was that the text of the screen was way too small for some of the descriptions. You know, I'm 30 years old. I'm not that old, but I shouldn't have to squint and move my face closer to read what is on the screen. There's going to be lots of resources for you to gather. You've got wood, food, clay, mines, tin, copper, iron, whatever kind of resource you want. You'll need all these things to keep your people happy and to expand, and also to conquer the AI that's on the map. Every building feels important, and they all have a unique use. I'm still learning them fully after 12 hours, which I find extremely rewarding. I wish though that you could have more than just tents as your main source of living. I didn't see any option to upgrade your tents to be something more. However, the building overall gets an A+ from me. I could see some people building some crazy cities, especially with the farming mechanic. It was really cool seeing farms that you could connect to your roads if you had them there. The aesthetic potential is huge. And speaking of aesthetics, I didn't see any decorative options. Maybe that's coming in the future, but you only have the buildings to choose from when designing your city. You also have freeform building and curving roads in design as well. I was loving the roads and how they're so easy to build curves into them. It was super satisfying connecting roads and winding one through a forest. The learning curve wasn't too bad with building either. Once you get some hours under your belt, you'll start to understand it pretty easily. But now the big part, probably the part that everybody's wondering about, how about combat? How does Mandate Order handle combat? Well, first, it's a long time before you'll get to any meaningful combat. After about 6 or 7 hours of playtime, I had my first skirmish. I had about 110 men to their 120. And one thing about Mandate Order is that you can see all the units on the map and where they are. They don't actually move, they're just there. So I don't know if in the future that's going to change, but I could see them everywhere. I knew where they are. I knew what I needed to bring. When I engaged them, I baited one of the units. I then did a feinted retreat and smashed them with my spear unit. I used my other 2 units to flank and surround the poor bastard. We only lost 2 men. Only 2 men! That's the genius of the Emperor. I appreciate that their units looked stronger and they most likely had better equipment, but my superior tactics won the battle. I also had the high ground in that situation. I'm not sure if high ground actually factors in, but if they want to be on par with Total War, you would imagine that that is actually a thing in the game. More testing will be needed there. I was then able to smash the other unit, and my first battle was complete. Mandate Order's land battle combat is not going to be seamless like Total War's, but it still is actually pretty fun. It was satisfying to charge into the enemy and see their bodies be flung into the air during battles. Fun stuff. I did not get to do a siege battle yet, as I don't have the resources to build the equipment, but I did get raided. I thought I was going to be ready for this raid, but I was not. The game absolutely punished me. If you have a raid coming or you're dealing with bandits, be sure to pay them off, or if you don't, just be ready to have a massive army come at you. I think there are about 300 to 400 enemy units. At the time, I only had about, gosh, like 200. So you need at least to have, 250, 300 troops of your own, and make sure you have walls. You need walls. The thing was that if they defeated my army, they're going to raid the rest of my base and destroy my buildings. That was kind of painful to see my process of what I've built be destroyed. So I didn't really know that was going to happen, but they'll actually just destroy your base. They didn't destroy it all, but they destroyed a part of it. And that was a bit frustrating, but hey, I should have been ready. One thing that I can say for certain about the combat is that it is definitely better than Anno 117's combat. It's not saying much though, as the Anno 117 combat was pretty simplistic. I mean, that one, Anno 117 felt cartoony. I didn't really feel any weight. This one, there is some weight to it, but it's still missing that Total War type feel, although it's, like I said, it is better than Anno 117's combat. You might ask me, Emperor, why wouldn't I just play Manor Lords? Well, just to preface, guys, I've actually never played Manor Lords. So this is, Manor Lords, I'm comparing it to, I guess I could compare it to Anno 117. Mandate Order does things right, though. It's got an amazing setting, ancient China, immersive music, city management is very fun, not too confusing, freeform building, and placing anything wherever you want. But of course, every game has its flaws. I've already talked about a few, but I think one of the other things to touch on would be the AI. The AI, they're a bit brain dead. I will say on the map, I didn't know if there was going to be like actual building happening, but they appear to just be there, and they didn't really interact with anything. They just stood there. If a raid happened, they would send some units at you. But they need some help, because in those battles, I was able just to run around. They would chase my unit. I just ran around, and you could play the yakety sax music, like the. But yeah, that was interesting. I already touched on the text being too small, but yeah, that definitely needs to be fixed. And then the trade was a bit confusing. The big thing for me was that, I initiated a trade, they accepted the deals. Well, then I looked at my inventory. I didn't really see anything reflected that the trade was successful. So I don't quite know if there's a time frame there. There probably is a time frame, but it's not explained. And then the next thing, which I just read something just before recording this, but the next thing, they have only level 1 tents. I just find it weird that you can't upgrade your tents, so you're just building an empire and becoming a tent city empire. That's kind of strange. So something to note, guys, it is early access, so the game goes live on August 11th. But the big question for me will be, where do the developers go from here? I think they've got a lot of room to build. And like I said, they actually just released hey, where are we going from here? So go to the Steam page, check that out. But alas, who's this game for? I'd say this game is perfect for people who love city builders. If you like managing things, or if you like the ancient Chinese setting. I think that if you want a more combat feel, I'd probably go Total War. Although I could see this combat, it's got a lot of potential. And I think I could have a better opinion once I actually get to a big siege battle. Maybe, I'm sending thousands. But they have used in their descriptions that you can send thousands of men. So that just means your cities can get really, really big. And I'm going to keep playing this to get to that point. And I will show you that. If you are hoping for Total War-like battles, just stick to Total War for the battling. This game, we're almost, they're kind of getting there, but like I said, more of an opinion coming soon. At the end of the day, my lords, my Imperial Decree, do I recommend it? I do recommend Mandate Order. I think it's worth your time. And even in its current early access state, you can build some pretty impressive cities and a big empire. So my lords, will you be checking out Mandate Order on August 11th? Let me know in the comments below if you'll be picking up the game. And guys, if you liked this sort of video, like, subscribe, comments, let me know. I'd like to do more of these in the future, so yeah, let me know in the comments. But thanks for watching, my lords, and glory be upon thee, and glory to the Empire.